It's dangerous to go alone. Take an episode of the Technical Earth Syndicate.
I'm Michael Buffington.
I'm Chris Stewart.
And I'm Greg Braun.
And this is episode 41, May 9th, 2014. Who the hell is on our show?
I'm Greg. And I'm here.
It's Greg from First World Podcast. Holy shit.
How did you guys work that out?
What out?
I don't think it was in my contract. You guys send me money. I promote your show on my podcast. And now, here I am on yours.
You had you kidnapped by ninjas?
Yeah. We're in...
Same ones who kidnapped the presidents and bad dudes?
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Yeah, somehow... Yeah, I don't... That's weird, man.
Okay, so we're doing a podcast. Let's do this thing.
Yeah.
Go.
This is a podcast? I clicked something. Bad Mac. Okay, overview of the show is a lot of cool stuff, right, Chris? Something like that?
I think so.
We're going to be talking about console and PC gaming wars and pretty much talking about Fanboys a little bit. That seems to be a trending topic, I guess. And then Alan's Tech Corner, we're going to be talking about a mystery discussion dealing with technology. Does that sound fun?
Yeah. And then at the end of the episode, we've got a big announcement that we've been sitting on for quite a while.
Oh, we got an announcement, don't we? Greg, you know some of this announcement, don't you?
I might have an inside track.
Yeah, you might. Yeah. So let's go ahead and begin. I'm just cutting away with the other crap from the other episodes. We're just gonna dive right into pre-show talk. So I don't have to use any more audio, guys. So, Greg, what have you been up to? You can talk about whatever you've been doing in your so-called life.
Well, I was telling Chris a little bit in the pre-show. I've been a Mac guy forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I finally decided it's time for me to pick up a tablet that has that big Android on it. So I went out and got the what the heck is this thing? It's a Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4 whatever.
Is it the newest one or?
Yeah, it just came out about a week ago. And it's got 16 gigs of internal memory, 2.2 gigahertz quad core motor that runs the works, and I slotted a 32 gig SD card into the thing to make it so that I can store things and do things and tablet and tabletize and tablet. Yeah, it's fancy, and it's supposed to come with all sorts of groovy stuff, like 3 free months of Hulu Plus and 50 gigs of Dropbox space and all this stuff. I didn't get any of it. And so it's kind of frustrating. But the real deal is this. As a guy who's used Macs forever and been a pretty big fan of the iPad, I can't decide. Yeah. I can't decide whether or not I'm going to keep it. I got 15 days before I can turn it back in and turn it into an iPad mini with Retina display. And if you would have asked me yesterday before noon, I would have said, I'm 60% likely to turn this thing in and just go with what I know. Now, after playing around with the dashboard apps and the customization, is that a word? Customizing, whatever. Yeah. I've got a desktop that looks straight up William Gibson awesome. And I am 100% on board with this thing. So now I would say that I'm more like 61% likely to keep it and maybe 39% likely to take it back.
Right.
Maybe 38, because there's that 1% chance I might just chuck it out in the middle of the street.
Right. Now, what Android OS does it come with right now?
KitKat, if you can believe that.
KitKat? What, Chris, what's the newest one?
Yeah, that's the newest one.
Oh, is that the new one?
It's like 4.4 or something like that.
Okay.
Yep. And what's really strange about it is that if you follow the trends with this thing, it's been kind of food every time. I bought the Android One when it first came out because I couldn't afford an iPhone when they first came out, and it was awful. It was absolutely terrible, and I kind of thought Android's never going to be anything worth a damn. I'm never going to invest in it. I'm not going to spend the time paying attention to it. All my friends who are a lot more hackery than me kept telling me, "Hey, man, this thing is a hackable device. You can do all this cool stuff, and
Right.
it'll get you chicks." And yeah, and I'm like, no, no, I doubt it, man. When I walk into a bar and I show off my iPhone 5S, chicks dig that. They don't dig the Galaxy S or whatever it is that you show off. People like, what is that? Some imitation iPhone, right? That's generally how it's viewed. But anyway, now that I have this, though, I'm starting to believe that this may be the chick attractor that these guys were talking about. It's snazzy, and there's a lot of really kind of cool functionality. Now, what I've done is I've taken it and I've essentially set it up to be just like my iPad. It has all the same apps. The only thing different is it's half the size because it's an 8-inch tab,
Right.
so not quite half, but it's a lot smaller, and it's got this really cool kind of tornado vortex of electronic stuff circling around on the dashboard, and I have a Tron Legacy what do they call it, theme going on it. So yeah,
Nice.
it's really really rad. If for no other reason, I could show people and go, look how cool this looks, and then go watch Netflix or read a book on Kindle, whatever
Read
it
a
is that I'm
book.
gonna do it. Yeah, read a book. Kids, stay in school. So, well, what about you, Mike? What have you been up to?
There's this game that is highly addicting, and I actually Chris is playing it too, and
Farmville 2.
Farmville
Dark
2.
Souls.
Gotta farm
It's
it all,
Marvel
man.
Heroes, right?
No, it's not
No.
Marvel Heroes.
You know how Chris loves that game. It's a little game called Persona 4 Golden on the PS Vita, and
Ah, yes.
I've been struggling from the time I got married, honestly, until now, in this 6 years. I've been struggling with wanting to play a Japanese RPG, and if you ask me why, I really don't know why. Maybe it's because I've been busy. It's those
Well,
games
hold
take a
on.
lot out of you, and a lot of what I saw from Japanese RPGs back, 6 to 8 years ago it's been kind of like it hasn't been like it was back in Final Fantasy 7 and 9 and the earlier Japanese RPGs. And now Persona, this one actually came out. I think Chris, did this originally come out on PS2 like in
This
2007 or
was a
something?
PS3 game, I believe. It wasn't that
No.
long
It
ago.
wasn't
It
even.
was,
It wasn't a PS3 game at all. It was a PS2 game. It came out right after the PS3 came out, I believe, and it was one of those last resort PS2 games that came out. And a lot of people are like, "Why wasn't this on PS3?" Because this is not on.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So, I'm actually sorry I missed it because it is one hell of a game. And if I was in high school playing this game, I don't think I would have liked it because it's a high school simulator. Um, Greg, have you heard anything about it?
Oh yeah. Somehow it's an Atlas game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And all of those Atlas games are just a little bit over the top. This one is high schoolers fighting demons, if I recall, and then dealing with their social lives. Pretty much.
Demons / shadow monster things. I mean, they're pretty much demons, but I honestly I'm about 30 hours deep into this game, and the
That's a long time.
storyline is making sense to me. It's just it's taken so freaking long to get into, and it's not a bad thing. It's just it's a very slow paced game because you're actually going through a whole year of school in Japan. I mean,
Yep.
every day, every week, every month.
We got school on Saturdays, freaking weirdos.
Yeah,
What's
school
up
on
with that?
Saturdays, man. And Sundays you get a day off. You get to do whatever the hell you want. But it's basically a game where you end up you go into this world. It's a very weird world where you dive into a TV. It's a TV world or something. That sounds really odd, but it makes sense once you play it. But they end up going to a demon world, shadow world, whatever, and whoever gets captured in there, the demons play with their emotions, and you have to go save them. So it's a classic dungeon crawler kind of, but with a turn-based RPG style, gameplay.
I could dig that.
Yeah.
And it sounds a hell of a lot like my high school. Try being a guy from the way up north and then come into the heart of Missouri to go to high school.
Oh,
I mean, those guys might as well be demons. I love my high school friends. Don't get me wrong, but like, I was definitely treated like an outsider for quite a while.
They were like, "You're from Canada? Fuck you!"
Right. Well, it's a lot. My school was a lot like prison. The first day there, you got to kick somebody's trash, otherwise, nobody will respect you.
What?
Right. So that's what I did.
Okay. But anyway, about Persona, this game has all the extras that the original PS2 version didn't have. Like it has like an extra character, and it has like this online mode system, I guess. And it's like, what is it called? I have the thing on here. The online dungeon rescue system. Basically, you press help or SOS on there, and people boost up your HP and MP. And
Nice.
basically, so if you're in trouble, hopefully there's maybe a few people in there in the dungeon, and the same when you're in, and you hit help, they'll be able to contribute by saying, "Oh, send your help," and you can boost up their HP and MP, which is it's kind of cool. It kind of makes it a little cheap, but then the game is relentless with how hard it is with some of the bosses later on. And
It's a part of the Shin Megami Tensei series somehow,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, it's
Okay.
yeah, it's the same world, I believe. Not exactly the same time, I believe. I'm not really too sure when the time goes along, but Shin Megami Tensei actually has a more in-depth, this is kind of a post-apocalyptic demon world setting. This is a high school setting where you go into the demon's realm. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's really different. I really like it. I've never been this addicted to a Japanese RPG since middle school, honestly. Middle school and beginning of high school, I want to say. So that was years and years and years ago. So
That's perfect, man.
yeah.
I live for the opportunity to get really swept up in something,
It
So
will
many
eat your time,
times.
though.
Yeah, it takes about 2 hours of just watching the story to actually get into real gameplay, though. So
Yeah, you got to go to school for You got to go to school for 2 hours of your time, and that's like a month of their time before you even do anything or fight anything or play an RPG. It's basically like, oh, you're playing the new kid simulator. Hey, I'm the new kid. Oh man, you're an outsider. This is a country poke town. You're from the city. I hate you. And the the lead teacher's a dick. He's like, all right, you shitheads. I fucking hate all of you.
That's awesome.
And I mean, it's great. It's funny. The comedy in it's pretty good, and they really let you build relationships within the game. And your social networks are the key to actually succeeding in the game as well. So you actually have to be social. You have to make a friend. You have to get a girlfriend. You have to do all this in order to boost your character's strength within the dungeons and stuff like that. So it's really complex.
You gotta join the sports teams and the drama clubs and all that shit, and it helps boost your monsters or whatever. When you capture them, it'll help boost their stats when you level them up.
I skipped the sports teams, but I went to drama, and I hooked up with this one chick, and she has a bunch of like mommy and daddy issues. So I'm like, I'm done with this. I'm gonna go date one of the main characters. Okay, that's easier.
Wow. There's a lot of real life in this weird high school game.
It really is. It makes me feel like I'm back in that day, of dating and being social and worrying about grades and studying, and you actually have to answer questions on quizzes. I mean, you may not know them. That's the funny thing. But if you do know them, the teacher's like, "Oh wow, I'm surprised you know that. You haven't been paying attention." Blah blah blah. It's really cool. I really I want to tell everybody you should check it out if you've been kind of down with I don't really want to play a JRPG. Nothing's been good for the past few years. Final Fantasy ruined it for me. Blah blah blah. You know, this game, it may be an older game, but the re-release on Vita is awesome. It's just I can't. It makes me really excited for Persona 5 that's supposed to be coming out for PS3, and I'm hoping they'll release it for PS4. Honestly, so
Yeah, that would be pretty rad. Also, released recently, or I think today, Borderlands 2 for Vita.
On Vita,
Yeah.
it was this week. Sometime.
Or is that just the bundle that just came out?
It's the bundle, but I think Borderlands is on there.
Either way, how much Borderlands have you guys done?
I mean, we've done half the game on PC.
Yeah, we still haven't finished the second game.
Okay. Well, I haven't finished it either, but I was kind of hoping that you guys hadn't played any of it, because then we'll just hook up and play.
Oh, bad news with that though. The Vita version, and I'm sorry.
What's that?
Sorry to depress you this early on in the episode, but
my team's already out of the playoffs. I can't get more depressed.
It's a 2-player Borderlands game. They didn't do 4-player on it.
That's cool. Me and Chris then, right?
Good luck talking him into that.
All right, it's me and the Buff. We're gonna kick ass and
yeah. All right, Chris. What have you been playing? Oh wait, I know.
I've been playing this game. You might not have heard of it. Persona 4 Golden. It's
no.
I've been playing a lot of that too, and I've kind of been juggling between Persona 4, Hearthstone on the PC, and Dark Souls 2 on the PC.
This Dark Souls game, I don't think I've ever heard of it.
No, not a lot of people have. It's kind of a niche game.
So, if any of you have tuned into the First World podcast over the last, 2 months, it's all Heath talking about. It's the only thing he's seen. I don't even think he's talked to his wife in 2 months. It's crazy.
He did play South Park, which is kind of cool. I'm glad he actually broke off of Dark Souls. Of course, that was actually after he beat Dark Souls 2, so...
Yeah. Well, I think he had to go through it with the Chris, are you doing this with the toothpicks in the eyes to keep the lids open and just powering through it, or are you taking your time?
Yeah, I've got the I'm kind of doing both. I'm taking my time, but I've also got the whole Clockwork Orange propping my eyelids open thing with the giant screens.
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
A little bit of Ludwig Von. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. What have you been playing majority of, though? Persona, there, Chris?
Yeah, pretty much a lot of Persona, yeah.
Do you hate me for getting you into that game?
Nah, I want to, but because it's taking me away from Dark Souls 2, but
it's such a good game. Oh my god.
It is. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, I've bothered Heath and Madison all about it. I'm like, oh my god, Persona 4, and they're like, shut the fuck up.
Well, Heath's bought it, actually.
Yeah.
He owns it, but doesn't have time to play it right now. But the key in all of this is he's going out of the country for a little bit, and I think he's taking his Vita with him.
Oh, yeah,
and I bet you anything he gets real invested in it, especially if it's as good as you and all the other people that I know that have played it have told me it is, because it's got to be one of those must-have games. Seriously,
it's very grindy, but it's worth it in the end. You feel accomplished, I want to say, after you beat that boss. You're just like, I beat him. Holy crap.
MMO players, grinding's nothing.
Yeah. Well, it kind of reminds me of that sometimes, but not as bad, I guess. I guess it reminds me of earlier MMO plays, but
cool.
But I don't know, it's a dungeon crawler JRPG. You can't really ask for any more, honestly. So
Gotcha. Chris, what was the third title that you said? It was Dark Souls, this one, and what else?
Oh, Hearthstone. I've been playing a lot of that lately too.
Oh yeah, Hearthstone.
Yeah, that game's terrible.
Why are you even playing it, man? Blizzard sucks.
Yeah, no, that game. Holy cow! We talked about this game yesterday as well, because our topic was free to play this week, and people keep holding that game up as the sterling example of how free to play is done right, and I love it. I love that Blizzard, a company that is still charging $15 a month for their World of Warcraft subscriptions, has mastered the art of the sub game and the free to play game, and frankly, that game has taken up a lot of my time, and I really need to play it against you guys so that I can get my ass kicked a little bit.
It got me to buy freaking $7 worth of packs. I mean,
that's awesome.
That's insane. Mike doesn't buy microtransactions. Mike is speaking in third person now. Mike is angry that he spent money on microtransactions.
Oh, poor Mike. I think it's worth it though.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that okay, so the key to a good free to play game, this is what we discovered. So you guys don't have to actually go listen to the podcast. Is that if the game makes you feel good about spending the money, then it's doing it right.
Right.
And frankly, this game really, if you drop a couple bucks here, a couple bucks there, if at the end of the year you tally it up and you spent $30, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And it's better than the $30 game.
Yeah, definitely.
I like that it
I
doesn't
don't have anywhere else
really,
to go with that.
it doesn't nickel and dime you like, hey, you need to buy, $10 worth of cards so you can actually win the game sometimes.
And progress and beat this person. No, they just let you get it. And they're actually offering a DLC expansion for free. I think it's adding another card. I think 20 cards or something like that soon. It's like it's the freaking Death Knight cards, dude.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's a lot of the festering boil pops and the you're gonna be taken out by like have you been faced against Stitches, the card? I know you have, Chris. Stitches from World of Warcraft. He's the gigantic blob monster that's all sewn up with different characters and monsters.
Yeah, I know exactly who it is.
He blows up when you kill him in Hearthstone, and it just wipes out the floor. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
So,
it damages everybody.
So I'm guessing the Death Knight's going to be a big player in that kind of card decks.
Yeah, probably.
Oh man, what if the Lich King is a card?
Oh my god!
Oh, so rad.
Arthas!
You bastard. Yeah, the Death Rattle cards are pretty rad. I think that a lot of the new strategy cards that are coming out are going to have more percentile-based procs. So I'm kind of looking forward to that as well. So yeah, man, game's tight.
Hearthstone, pick it up. It's free. And also listen to Greg's First World podcast, the latest episode, to listen about free-to-play games.
Nah, I spoiled all the secrets. You don't have to now.
Well, kinda. You get to hear them rant and rave about other things. It's pretty cool.
I rant and rave about Chris Stewart.
Yep. Up next, we're going to be talking about console and PC gaming wars, and that's the fanboy wars, we could call it, I guess. So, after this break, we'll be right back. So, Chris, my PS4 is better than your PS4.
No, it's not. My
Yeah,
PS4
it is.
can kick your PS4's ass.
My PS4 has infamous Second Son.
My PS4 is better than yours.
You don't have infamous Second Son.
You can't even say it. That's how bad it is.
Wow. So, okay, kids. You guys are out there in the schoolyard with your impotence second stun. and I'm sitting here with my big ass Macintosh going, I'm gonna play some PC games and kick both your asses.
Wait, you're playing PC games on a Mac? That's outrageous.
You're breaking my brain.
Nobody can live at that speed. Just me.
What are you playing on a Mac? Number munchers?
Right,
Isn't that true? They got games and stuff.
They got Math Blaster too.
Knights of the Old Republic. That's the newest release.
There we go.
The original.
Today we're going to be talking about fanboy wars between console, PC, everything, honestly. Well, anything game related. We could go into Android and iOS, but that's another episode of another talk of something special. Anyway, I don't even know anymore. I was about to give a spoil away, Chris. Spoilers. So, fanboys. Should we call them fanboys? I mean, are they fanboys out there? There's like just people that are super gung-ho about, I like this, fuck you, you suck. There's no mutual bounds between, oh, well, that's cool. I respect that you like that. Or is it is that the general idea of how fanboys act for the most part?
Well, everybody, I think, is a fanboy or fangirl about something to some certain extent, but just the problem is how far some people take it.
Okay, extreme fanboyism, or fangirlism or whatever you want to go.
That's kind of the extreme.
Now, a lot of sites like Kotaku and Polygon and IGN even has talked about this. Like, why are we just bashing each other for liking Xbox Ones or PS4s? And there's reasoning behind it, because they think their system is superior, their games are superior, or even like PC Master Race. Oh, and I fall into that category quite a bit. So, but I also play my PS4 or my PS3. I play console games. I've played games on my Mac, not very rarely, just because it's an older one, but I own a Mac, I own a PC, I game on my PC, I do this podcast on the Mac, and that's about it. But how do you guys feel about all of this? Greg, there.
Thanks. I'll take the floor here for just a second.
Thank you very much.
Long and short of it is I've always considered myself relatively system agnostic. I am the kind of person. Okay, so when I was born, there was a stamp that they were handing out at the hospital that said, "You're going to be the guy that the phrase 'collect all seven' was invented to," right? I have to have everything all the time. I love everything. I'm a fanboy about just about everything, and I prefer to consider myself a celebrant. I just like to enjoy stuff.
Right.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too.
Yeah.
Well, Mike now does. Older Mike might have been a little more harsh about that. But
Well, and I'll tell you why it is that people had those perspectives back in the day. Because we were younger, we didn't have disposable income. We had to make a choice. And when you make a choice, you're subscribing to one tribe or another, right? And your tribe is going to enable you to believe that you have made the right choice. Because if you go to the tribe that tells you you're wrong, you need to change tribes, right? So anyway, long and short of it is this. If you have limited resources and you can only buy one of, say, 3 available options, you want to believe that it's the right option. And sometimes people are going to lock horns with you about it because they want to believe that they've made the right choices. And that's just the way it works. And the real problem is with this fanboyism thing is that we are living in a society today that I like to call the Peter Pan society, where we never really grow up. And we just continue being teenagers into our, well, in my case, into our 40s, right? As I just landed there. But for the most part, we really kind of live our lives. Now, both of you guys have children.
Right.
Both of you are married, and both of you are in environments where your budget is established and you've kind of figured things out and you're working your way towards the future, right?
Correct.
Okay, right. And I, for the most part, am too. I mean, I don't have any children, but I've got a girl and I've got 2 dogs and a house and a bunch of responsibilities. So my income is limited, but I still have a lot more command over what it is that I do with my money than I used to back even just 10 or 12 or 15 years ago. And I think that informs a lot of the attitudes as far as how people deal with things. Also, you can break it down into different style of gamers. Like if you're an MMO guy or an RPG guy, you're probably going to be playing either the PC or the PS3 or PS4.
Right.
Because it seemed like those systems kind of traveled in those circles. If you are a dude bro who really loves your Titanfall and stuff like that, the Xbox One
Gears of War, man. Oh my god,
Exactly.
bro. I just saw this guy in half.
That's been the sphere of influence by the Xbox community. And if you like Angry Birds, then you're probably using an iPhone. Am I right?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, so that's
filthy
really
casuals. I mean,
in answer to your question that you asked a million years ago, and then I just went on a tangent. I think that I use everything I can get my hands on.
Right, and Chris and I have been that way for a while. What now? I want to say back in when did the Xbox? When did I pick up the Xbox and you picked it up on release, didn't you? Xbox 360, Chris?
Yeah, it came out in 06, I
Yeah.
want to say.
Befo-
05, 06.
Before
It
that, I
was
was a
9
strict
years ago. Yeah.
yeah. Before that, I was
Yeah.
a strict Sony fanboy. I want to say, like extreme Sony fanboy. I refused to even pick up the Xbox One. Haha, the first Xbox. There we go. God, Microsoft making it hard for me to,
Yeah. Well,
not name-
well, I mean, is Xbox One any worse of a name than Vita?
but it's a hell lot better than the Wii U.
All these names are terrible.
Yeah. Anyway, so like I was a big Sony guy, and then when Halo came out, I was like, okay, I'll play this at a buddy's house, and I played the Xbox, the original one, for the first time. I was like, this is pretty awesome. Now I want to spend a bunch of money on it, but I ended up getting it for Christmas for my parents and everything like that. So it all worked out. So I ended up.
What was this first system with a hard drive? That was so cool.
It was cool.
Yep.
Well, PlayStation 2 actually had the first hard drive, but it was useless.
It didn't come with it though. You had to buy that separately.
Yeah, you did have to buy it separate. It came out in
This one
Japan
was
first, I believe,
inside.
and then it came out because it mostly came out for Final Fantasy 11, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But basically after that, I kind of was like, man, Xbox is sweet, and then I ended up, still playing my PS2, and then the system came out called the 360, and I was just like, this looks badass, and I ended up just sticking with that for a very long time until 2008 or was it the 2009 I ended up picking up the PS3 finally after a few years of it being out.
When did
Yeah, it's about the same time I got it too.
Yeah,
when did Final Fantasy 14 first launch? What year was that?
2010.
Okay, that's when I got my PS3 then, or my PS3.
Yeah. Huh. Wow. That was wait the original Final Fantasy 10?
No, not 10.
I mean
14.
10. Well, sorry, the original Final Fantasy 14. See, there's so many Final Fantasies, I don't even know which one I'm talking about anymore.
And they're all
The bad
final.
one.
the really bad one, the one I was ranting about on the last episode, right? Okay. Yeah. So you picked PS3 up in 2010. That was when Uncharted 2 came out and all the
Yep.
good games. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and principally I picked it up because I wanted to play Final Fantasy 14, and then I read that it was absolutely awful, and so I didn't pick it up.
You would have cried.
I would have cried.
I spent $79.
79. Oh, I am crying.
Well, it ended up paying off because I got to have that copy for free with all my collector's edition crap, I guess, within the new one, which is awesome. So I bought it in advance, I guess.
Nice.
But so, I was strictly a fanboy, and I used to talk shit about Microsoft all the time when Xbox first came out, and I was poor about it, man. I was like, man, screw that stuff. And then after that, it kind of opened my eyes to really enjoy all the systems because I was already a PC gamer at the time as well. What episode was it when you had me on for First World Podcast and I just kind of took over the show of first-person shooter games? All I talked about was
None of us
PC.
really play those.
Yeah. It was just like, PC was the only thing that mattered for first-person shooters. So sorry, guys. No.
Well, keyboard and mouse is the way to go.
Yeah.
For sure.
But
Yep.
But basically, I like everything, and I've found ways to get around, even with a low income, to play everything, honestly. I mean, I had a PC, a gaming PC, and then I also had a PS2, I had an Xbox, and then later on in life, even before I got married, I found a way to get an Xbox 360 and still play my PC for all my MMOs, because at the time, I was still playing WoW pretty, regularly, So I had to make sure I upgraded my PC for that. So I'm one of those people, just kind of like you, just I roll with it. But I used to not be that way. That was the thing. But I'd like to see the community change a little bit like that. Be more open about what you're playing, or be more respectful to people, I guess.
Well, I think as long as there's exclusive games, there's going to be a competition.
Yeah.
And there's going to be people who are going to be backbiting about it.
But I've seen plenty of people who are like, oh man, I really want to just pick up a PS3 because of all those games I missed, and there's people that have not bought a PS3 for this long are now buying one because they have faith in Sony, I guess. And they were Xbox people. So it's interesting to see that.
like for me, I've always been the guy that was envious of everybody else's stuff.
Yeah.
Like if I went out and bought the Xbox, I was certain that the 360 was, or the PS3 was better.
Mm.
You know, maybe it's some weird low self-esteem thing. I have no idea, but it was like if I went and had the Nintendo 64, I couldn't figure out why I didn't have the Sony whatever it was.
Dude,
at the time.
I was jealous when I got the 64 because a lot of my buddies was like, "Oh, I'm playing Final Fantasy 7 on PS1." I'm like, "Man, that looks so cool."
I've got Super Mario 64.
Yeah, there's next gen fishes in
it. I've actually got a theory about that. About how far back this whole fanboy thing goes, like even back with Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis.
Go for it. You talk now. You got the floor.
Yeah, I'm a part of this thing too.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of it stems from, like you guys were saying, you were jealous of what the other kids had, because when you were a kid, you got what you got from your parents.
Right.
See, I had a Sega Genesis growing up. I didn't choose it. I just suddenly had it one day, and there it was. And then a
wild Genesis spawned before your eyes.
Yeah, just out of nowhere. It was under my pillow because I lost tooth.
It's super effective.
Yeah,
water gun.
But I was jealous of what all the Super Nintendo kids had, and so I would kind of try to justify that, be like, sour grapes. I didn't want a Super Nintendo anyways. Sega Genesis is awesome. I got Sonic and blast processing and all that cool shit.
Blast processing.
Man, you sure showed them with their awesome Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy games, and
yeah, I had Streets of Rage and Shining Force, and Phantasy Star.
Those are all good games, though. It's just that's interesting. Yeah, so there's jealousy that plays into the factor. I even had that. I mean, it was like I was the kid that had the Super NES, and my buddy had a Sega system. But every time I went over his house, I'm like, man, this Sega system's awesome, and I really enjoyed playing it. And
we had a better version of Mortal Kombat.
I always was jealous because I went up to stores and I saw Sonic was on there. I was like, man, I wish Sonic was on Super Nintendo, and little did I know that I'd end up being able to play Sonic on everything later on down the line. But
20 years later, you get your wish.
Right.
But I mean, jealousy is a big factor. But I think it's a little bit more than that sometimes. I think it's combined with how the internet reacts to things nowadays, especially for Chris and my generation, or even just in general. Rage. It's nerd rage. It really is, and I don't understand why people have to. I guess I'm just a nice guy, and I don't like to be like, "Fuck you, man! Your system's stupid, and that game's stupid. You wasted $60."
Even when you're absolutely right to do it, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know. Like for a long time when I was an Xbox 360 user, and I look at all these dudes with their Uncharted's and their really cool stuff, I might have picked a couple of arguments over a handful of beers explaining how my experiences with Mass Effect couldn't possibly be rivaled by anything they were playing. It's just a part of it, man.
Well, it's Mass Effect. Oh,
well, okay,
sorry.
That goes without saying. The greatest cinematic experience of our generation, right? But no, I mean, it's so easy to fall prey into that.
Yeah.
Like, let's take music for example. Like the kinds of music that I listen to, it's really easy for me to listen to something that I'm not into and think automatically that the people who listen to that are just dumb, right?
I can get behind that.
Yeah, and I guarantee I listen to a bunch of crap you guys would think is really, really, really dumb. Richard Marx and stuff like that.
No,
I don't even know who that is.
Oh, that's so cool. Anyway, look it up. Ask your parents. But anyway, no, but it's really easy. Like, okay, so when I was in high school, it was the beginning of when like the Nirvana generation of music really started taking off and all of that stuff. And I was on board. I thought it was cool. And I couldn't figure out what all these dudes listening to Metallica were all about. I'm like, what are you listening to that crap for? It's dumb. And you're dumb. And that is exactly the way it's like whatever doesn't appeal to you obviously is inferior. And sometimes as the gamer culture tends to be, we have a tendency to lash out with opinions and it just happens. Rumble in the streets. It's great.
Battle.
Yeah, the whole anonymity thing with the internet certainly doesn't help things either.
It's
Not
gotten
at
worse
all.
over the years, though. Wouldn't you guys
It
agree?
has.
Yep.
I absolutely agree.
It's
I
because we
100%
hide
agree.
behind. My dad and I were talking about this recently. We hide behind a faceless, idea on the internet, and it's basically
Oh.
like no one knows who you are. I mean, other than a
There's
screen name
no
or whatever.
empathy.
And
None.
you feel
No
like
empathy.
you can just say whatever the hell you want to on the web, and it's
And there's
become
no consequences.
well,
And that's it. There's
yeah,
no consequences. People are going to be douchebags. I don't
forever.
know. Yeah, forever. We're stuck in a world of douchebags. We got to kill them or something. Go get them. Go get them. You know anybody in the military? Maybe we can hook this up. Anyway,
I'm in the military.
hey,
Chris, you don't count.
Oh.
do you have access to fighter jets or something? Anyway,
No.
no.
Don't say anything more, Chris.
That's funny. No, I think I just think that the world is moving that way, but I'd like to think that we're going to kind of come back the other way.
I'd hope
eventually,
so. I
'cause-
really hope
'cause-
so. I just it bugs me. It bugs me
Yeah.
even more so than it did, 10 years ago. It really does,
What we need to do is we need to just get back to a point of honesty, right?
Mhm.
Because I think at one point we were all Pollyannas. We're running around and we're so concerned with what everybody's thinking. We never actually spoke our minds and just we just dealt with whatever was handed to us. Then somewhere along the line we hit that point where it was cool to be honest, and then it became cool to get a lot of attention by being harassing people and just being a prick, and I really think we're getting back to the honesty stage. It's just taking a while for that to happen. And
Let's
you'll
hope so.
notice that with the online sites, like, okay, I know you guys aren't big hockey guys, but the NHL.com now, the NHL.com page used to be this just cesspool of ridiculous commentary after any story or any game or whatever. It was just a bunch of trash talking and all this crap. So you know what they did? They tied everybody's Facebook account to their NHL.com accounts. So now there's their picture.
Ah.
It's links to their page with their family and their children and all this stuff. So yeah, there's still the assholes who get up there and really throw down and
I've
are just
been noticing that
but-
with even within the gaming sites or even PlayStation 4 where they let you tie your Facebook account to it and use your real name if you want to. And I think
Yeah.
that may be a way of preventing it. Maybe they're already, 4 steps ahead of our thinking already, and they probably are. I mean, because that's a really smart idea, but a lot of people that are wearing their tinfoil hats and everything, oh, they're gonna get into my information, which they might, but
Right.
at some point
But
you
it's-
just don't give a crap about that either. But
Right. The hackers are going to get us anyway.
yeah,
That's
they're
just
gonna
the way
take
it
us
is.
out.
If we're not safe on the PSN network, we are not safe anywhere.
God, that was terrible. That was terrible. That started
It's
up
true.
a gigantic flame war on the internet. Oh, the PlayStation Network's terrible. It got hacked. The Xbox Network got hacked multiple times. You just don't know it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Nintendo's over there going, there's an internet?
Guys, I got this idea. It's called the Wii U, and it's gonna be online. Frank, it's 2013. Oh, has somebody already done that? Yeah.
Living in a bubble. Nintendo gets so much shit, and they are probably of the like I'm pretty much of the belief that that PS3, PS4, Vita owners, 360 owners, all of them,
Mhm.
PC gamers, all these people, they can fight. It's like open gang war in the street, and then all of a sudden Mario rolls up, and they're like, it's like there's this pause, and they just kind of look side to side at each other, and then somebody goes, "Get him!" and they all just bum rush that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
Nintendo
me.
is
I'm
the
just
whipping
trying
boy.
to enjoy.
Yeah, right. Oh, Nintendo is just the whipping boy of just about everybody, and it's too bad because honestly, if I had to be 100% straight up honest, their first party titles are better than anybody else's.
Oh, they're so good.
That's
It's
true.
just a shame they don't release them fast enough. And I would
They
have,
don't have anything else.
like, I'm a fanboy of Nintendo. I will admit it. And I'm not going to say they're better than anything, but man, they do some awesome games. It's just, I'm mad at them right now because they've just turned the Wii U into a pile of shit. And
Yeah, well, you could play Child of Light on it. That's pretty cool.
yeah, but
But-
you can play that on everything else too.
Yeah, but you should play it on that because it's the only game you got for it right now.
I'm waiting
Of
for
course,
Mario Kart
Kart's
8.
coming up soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't understand why Nintendo really became this thing, other than I think that the Wii was a misstep and then not recovering the way that they should. But look at it this way: what is your favorite console right now?
God, I want to say the PS4. I love it, but
Yeah.
I'm such a PC gamer that I cannot say that. And it's not even
Okay.
a console. It's just I love my PC a lot more. But as of now, I'm only looking at playing MMOs on it again, and it's like
Yeah.
it's relapsing from back in 2004, 2005 when the 360 first came out, and I'm now going to the consoles for my third party and first party games, everything, and PC
Sure.
is just becoming that MMO juggernaut again.
Yeah.
So
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, going strictly consoles, definitely probably the PS4 is going to be my favorite
Yeah.
for right now because
Okay.
it's just so pretty.
Yeah, well, no doubt. And I'll get back to. I have a thought about that, but my favorite console. Are you ready? You guys aren't going to believe me. 3DS.
oh, I could believe that.
Yeah.
I,
Oh,
that-
if you're including handhelds, then definitely the Vita. That's going in there.
Yeah,
but
but the
3DS has some really good games on there.
Oh,
So
it is. I've spent more time playing that than anything else. And if I can jockey back a little bit, ride my little horse backwards. Yeah, woohoo. The reason I wanted to get back to the PS4 thing is this: I don't think that the console manufacturers did themselves any favors at all by having an 8 and 9 year lifespan of the previous generation of consoles,
yeah,
because it gave the PC gamer a foothold in the marketplace that is astounding right now. And the current generation or next generation consoles are having a hard time recovering from that because you're going to have to pry people away from these long-term investment games that people are now playing on their PCs because they just got tired of their.
it's the
old
first
consoles.
time that this has happened too. In some ways, because of they were the online juggernaut systems. They really were,
Yeah.
and people have invested so much time and money into them. And it's hard. I've even had friends that are like, I can't upgrade to the next gen. It's not worth it right now, you know.
It's
And
not.
me,
It's totally not.
I'm a
I-
tech guy, so I'm like, man, it's worth it because I love technology.
I
I'm a
do too,
sucker.
but I'm telling you, this Samsung Galaxy Tab 4.8, 8.4, whatever the hell I got, right? Cost approximately the same amount of money as a PS4. I was
Damn.
standing there looking at the PS4 and the Galaxy Tab, and I'm thinking, you know what? I don't need the PS4. I'm looking at all these games that are coming out for this damn thing in the next 3 or 4 months. There's not a damn thing that makes me think that I need it.
Mm.
Now make me want it, and then we'll talk.
You just need some of those fancy games that they're gonna be pumping out. Hopefully,
Bring me Watch Dogs. I will be on board as
it's
whenever
coming out
Watch
at the
Dogs
end of
comes
the
out.
month. I'm still not 100% sold on it though. So
Oh, don't say that. It's going to be amazing.
No, it's
the
gonna
best
be
damn
good. It's
game
just,
you've ever played. I promise.
I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to get into it right now. I don't know because I got WildStar at the end of the month, and I'm still like
Yeah.
nose deep
Well,
into
yeah.
Persona.
I'll tell you the honest to God truth when it comes to that too. And I'm saying that a lot because I think I'm fixated on this honesty thing, that pendulum that I was describing earlier.
Yeah.
My biggest draw for playing that game is because I have a buddy of mine who lives in Chicago that was a voice actor in the actual game. And I cannot wait to turn this thing on and hear his voice as X, Y, and Z dudes in the game.
Nice.
That's pretty sick.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Funny.
Yeah, he's really cool. He works for he does a lot of stuff, but you could see him on The Onion doing the tech reports online and stuff like that. Yeah, really neat guy.
Huh.
But anyway, yeah. So sell me the console based on what it has, and I'll be excited about it. And then I'll get into a fist fight with somebody that has a PC. But until then, I'm pretty interested in the PC and what it has to offer. And then the handheld, the what is it called? 3DS.
Yeah, 3DS still has some life on it now. I'm thinking Nintendo's reworking what they're going to be doing in the next couple years.
Oh yeah, especially after the demotion of their president and CEO a couple months ago, and yeah, all that stuff. It's
well, I think they lost like how much this year? It's like 58 or 580 something thousand or million. That was million.
Well, I think Nintendo's basic flaw was they expected to catch lightning in a bottle again with the Wii U. I think they expected it to be the family console that everybody had to have, like the Wii was when it first came out. And the problem with the Wii is that it didn't have any reach at all. Like it was amazing for the first couple months, and then you break it out when somebody came over that didn't have one. But other than that, you don't ever touch the damn thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so but there were a ton of really good games for it. It's just everybody was allergic to the waggle. But PlayStation and Microsoft are like, we have to have motion control. So then they start putting out their motion control. And you know what? I've got it for both of those, and I don't use it at all.
And then all the fanboys started just ripping on Nintendo because their consoles had motion controls, and it was the cycle over again.
Exactly. Well, we're all a bunch of bullies in the schoolyard. I mean, let's face it, man. If my tribe is saying one thing and I'm a part of the tribe and I'm trying to show the tribe that I'm a part of the team, I'm probably going to be roughing some folks up too, verbally speaking. But I don't think it's obviously I don't think it's wise. Obviously, I don't think it's a good idea to behave that way. But it's pervasive, and you know, it's not only is it the kids in the schoolyard. And by that I mean GameStop or Best Buy or standing around in the aisles or whatever, the water cooler. But it's propagated by the media. Dan would be so proud of me for saying this, but the media has so much heavy bias when it comes to their reporting on games. The coolest game in the world could come out for 360, and if IGN gets a hold of it, they're going to say it's crap because it's not a PlayStation title.
Yeah.
And if Nintendo has something, then X, Y, and Z is going to be like, oh yeah, but it's still Nintendo. Am I right, guys? And it's sad. It's a sad state.
You know what? I think kind of wrapping up to that with the fanboys and everything, I think the media, like you were just saying, has the worst impact on everybody, how they act with how they report it. Even though they're saying we shouldn't be fanboys, and that's the recent topic on there, and it's come back full circle for them. They're the ones that almost start the fights up sometimes,
Well, Dan's famous for saying this or something similar to it, and that is games journalists. You know who they are? It's us.
Yeah.
It's you. It's me. It's not a guy that went away to college to study journalism. It's a guy who has strong opinions about something that he thinks he's a specialist in, and 9 times out of 10, you give a guy a microphone big enough, he's going to turn into a total douchebag.
And make a podcast. That's us.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm a douchebag on my own podcast all the time, and now I'm doing it on yours. But
we're all douchebags. Let's do this.
Yeah. Actually, you guys are pretty civilized.
Are we?
We make an effort at being civilized.
It's just because we don't hardly have any guests to make fun of.
Well, and feel free to throw whatever punches you want my way. I could take it. I'm tough, but yeah. I mean, I do like to think that we try to be civilized. When we started our podcast, it was an effort to try to report on gaming in a positive way. Now, we've strayed from that a lot, and we try to be as realistic as we can about things. But, for example, the Child of Light game that just came out, right?
You guys were super positive about that game.
What's that? Yeah.
You guys were like, man, this game's awesome.
Yeah. All three of us really liked it. And you know what? Dan will probably hate it, but whatever, right?
I was kind of getting into the discussion when I was listening to it. I was sitting there, I was playing some Call of Duty, looking at the screen, listening to you guys, and then when you guys started being all super positive, I was like, man, I just played that game, the demo. I hated it. I didn't like it.
Right, exactly. And you know what? If I had only played it for a half hour, I probably would hate it too. It was kind of the first bit of it was pretty
It
obnoxious.
threw me into like World 4 or something like that, and I had no idea what
Ooh.
was going on. I was just like, "What? Okay, this is weird. Okay, whatever. I'll probably pick it up one day. I don't know."
The people with the loudest voices are the people with the giant blogs,
Yep.
right? Joystick, Kotaku, I guess when they report on games.
Polygon now.
Polygon.
IGN is
IGN.
IGN's the biggest one.
Alakazam. No, those guys are gone. But yeah, and those guys are a lot like art critics and or movie critics in that I don't feel like, or music critics, I don't feel like they feel like they're doing their job unless they're being snarky and grousing about stuff. You know, I have yet to see a really. It's rare that I see a really good review of a game or a preview of a game where they don't go, "Yeah, it's really great. I had a really good time," but
yeah,
you know, this was done by so and so with this and that back 100 years ago, and we're over it now. And it's like, yeah, you freaking hipsters, man. Hipsters are ruining everything.
No, it's true.
Well,
it really
if
is.
If you're fair and unbiased, you don't get all the freaking crazy people in the comment section, going to town on each other.
That's true.
You gotta start the arguments.
They start the fanboy wars. And I really think they're the biggest contributors to it. And that
they definitely don't do anything to slow it down.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, they've been trying to recently, but I don't think it's working. It's just making it worse.
Dance, puppets, dance.
It's going to be pitchforks and torches and running around in the streets. My girlfriend and I talk about this because, what you guys may not know, or what your listeners may not know, is that I actually did study broadcasting and journalism in college.
Right.
And a lot of what I've learned I've forgotten, and that's all beside the point, because the new media is all about getting clicks. And if you have something that's fire engine red hot and inflammatory on the front page of your blog, you're going to get a lot of clicks. But if you say, "Hey, this game's really neat, and here's why,"
it's neato, guys. You should buy it.
Exactly.
It makes you feel happy inside.
Attention. Yeah, you damn near have to go punch somebody in the mouth and then say, "Hey, look at what I just did." And you know what I mean? I mean, it's really ridiculous. And those, again, with the biggest microphone, tend to be the biggest jerks. And
I'm glad I have a Yeti mic. That's not a sponsored message at all.
I have a Turtle Beach headset. It's really amazing. Will Wheaton was right whenever he coined the phrase, "Just don't be a dick," and that's ultimately what people need to learn is we're all people. We're all just trying to have a good time. And if you're raining on my parade, I'm probably going to try to avoid you. I'm not going to exalt you. I'm not going to help you out. I'm not going to lift your example up. I'm not going to do any of that crap because I'm a grown up and I'm only interested in having a good time, learning something, or helping somebody else. That's it. That's what being a grown up's all about. So
Andrew WK has it all right.
Dude, it's so weird that nutbag does, but he does. But he's a nutbag.
Oh, man.
Don't kid yourself.
Just be adults, guys.
Yeah, just be adults. Or be older than adults. I don't know.
Hey, but if you guys want to fight with us on Facebook, make sure you like it first.
Right. Oh, man. For whatever reason on Facebook, people don't tend to argue with me too much. Mostly because I don't put myself out there enough to draw a lot of that. But what I do get is random bits of information that have absolutely nothing to do with the topic at hand. Just like what I just said. Are we ready to go on to the next section?
We are. Up next on Alan's Tech Corner, we're going to be talking about a mystery segment, or not segment. I can podcast right. We're talking about something fun.
Fun.
Hoverboards and flying cards and holodecks and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Who wrote dicks?
The hell out of this topic. After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, gentlemen, let's talk about the future.
The future? Wait, what's this topic about? Everyone's probably in suspense. They're like, what are you guys going to talk about?
So, technology is advancing like a plague. Where do you think it's going to be in the next 20 years?
20 years?
We're going to be wearing all kinds of shiny, crazy costumes like in the 70s.
So let me get this straight. We're not teaching anybody in this segment, no?
No,
we're not teaching anybody. We're just discussing what we think is going to happen in 20 years within technology's, grasp, and what it's going to do to us, or what it's going to do to culture.
Is it what we really think is going to happen, or is it what we would like to have happen?
I want to say both within this discussion.
Let's do both.
Okay.
I'm guessing these are probably going to be straight up predictions, because half the time we say shit like this and it ends up coming true. Particularly with video games.
People are listening.
So in the future, there will be a lot more free soda.
And normally when things come true, no one's we're not recording it, so hopefully the people are listening to this episode afterwards. Maybe, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hey, those guys had some good ideas. Let's do it.
Can I start? You mind if I just jump right in here?
Yeah, go ahead. You're the guest, man. Go for it.
All right. So 20 years from now, after the St. Louis Blues have won their 7th or 8th Stanley Cup, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were talking a couple weeks ago about that tabletop simulator, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It looks really, really rad.
So cool.
So I had a couple of friends of mine talking to me about playing a tabletop RPG coming up in the near future, and I started saying, guys, I don't know when I'm gonna have time, and as much as I'd love to be 16 again, I just I have responsibilities,
right.
and you live 45 minutes away, the other guy lives, and so we looked at that Roll20 thing, we looked at the other thing, but I was thinking about this. I think that the future, at least of role-playing games, is going to have a more cinematic experience than we already have. And the fact that technology is what is the law where technological processor power doubles every so often, and it's exponential, right?
Quantum?
I don't know, but anyway, there's this theory that states that computer crunching juice gets bigger and bigger and bigger all the time.
Okay.
And it eventually will outweigh our ability to use it, because we've just got all this power, and
Dude, it's already that way somewhat.
It really kind of is. Anyway, so what I was thinking is that I would love to play a tabletop style RPG with the game master being able to customize the setting in a VR sense, so that when you're playing it, there are encounters, but you're VR playing against these things, but it's not like an MMO. It's like the Oculus Rift sort of way of viewing it, and the amount of control that a game master has still is that ultimate authorship of what's going on in front
So
of
like a square grid kind of movement style, or
No,
like
it
a
would be
normal
more like
RPG?
you're actually really a part of what's happening.
Okay, I gotcha.
And you choose what your avatar looks like, and picture it like a multi-user holodeck, only you can play it remote.
So you think the future of board gaming and video games technically could amount to being in a room like a holodeck, like it's from Star Trek?
Yeah, because I think games are going to always require some sort of narrative. And I think the ultimate narrative is going to come from what your friends' imaginations are. Sure, we're still going to have our cinematic experiences that are going to come from 20 years futures versions of George Lucas or whatever is going to be creating those cinematic experiences for us. But the gaming part of it, I think, should come from closer to home, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So kind of like you're playing a normal MMO, but instead of Blizzard, whoever making pre-scripted events that happen, it's your buddy just doing this stuff on the spot,
running the game. Yeah, exactly. So you get the tabletop RPG experience and the MMO experience and the VR experience, and that would be what I'd like to see. The reality is probably that 20 years from now we're still going to have something that ties us to a chair, and something that's going to make us do minimal amount of physical exertion in order to maximize our results in what will probably be a very enhanced 3D environment that we can play in. But I think it'll still be lassoed to a chair.
I
It's
think.
not gonna
Oh
be
yeah,
the kind of-
that treadmill thing that people keep talking about, that's not going to sell. Nobody wants to run around playing video games. That's stupid.
Nope. Yeah, if you're going to run around and play sports, you'd run around and play sports.
But as some kind of thing in the future, I think a holodeck kind of simulator, whatever, something like what you're just talking about is a big possibility, not within our own houses or anything like that, but what if the future of like a mall, how remember old school malls used to have like awesome arcades and stuff like that? What if they had something like that in there that you could rent, kind of like a laser tag area, but it's devoted to a holo experience like that, a holodeck experience,
now you're talking. That would be really sick, actually.
I think in 20 years that is a huge possibility, because the way what conference was it? Just a recent tech conference. They were doing not only like Oculus Rift stuff and VR stuff, they were doing like images on the wall where you're looking and interacting within a room, and they have motion sensors that recognize your human body, kind of like the Kinect and everything like that. I'll have to link it on the TES page. But
I took my Kinect and put it in a bag, and now it sits underneath my desk at the office because I felt it was a kind of a pervy little device just staring at me in my boxers trying to play whatever game I was playing.
Let Microsoft look at your junk. Who cares?
Yeah,
give them a show.
So weird.
But I mean, I think that's a big possibility within the future for gaming, definitely. Now, like you said, you'll probably still be sitting in a chair. I think VR simulation might be a big thing in 20 years still. Possibly.
Do you think head-to-head will still be as big of a deal, or do you think it'll be? Do you think that the swing at that time will be more player versus computer generated bad guys?
I don't know.
Because right now it feels like the world is strongly fixated on player versus player.
Yeah, that or a co-op experience of a mediocre game where you're just chilling with your buddies, blasting people. Borderlands.
Right. But I think that my theory is that real player versus player, where Twitch strength and immersion are kind of at a strong confluence, has only been a realistic opportunity in the last 5 to 10 years. Before that, I mean, head-to-head playing was a lot of luck and skill, but it was still pixelated, or it wasn't really immersive. Nowadays, you might as well be training for real battle simulations in some of the games that I've played,
right?
Because I have to literally think, okay, I need to work for cover, I need to do this. I think the future of gaming may in fact be teaching you life skills.
That'd be interesting.
I'm hoping not cooking, but
that's the newest Minecraft and a holodeck simulator. Oh my god. I think that's ideas. Do it, everyone. Someone do it. Chris, what do you have for the future of technology? What do you think is a big possibility? We talk about plenty of things, Google Glass, something like that, or do whatever you think you feel like we're going to be really diving into 20 years from now. Because, 20 years ago, I wouldn't even believe that what we have today exists, really,
Well, what was the console du jour 20 years ago? In 1994, that would have been the Nintendo, Super
Nintendo, and Sega console, one of the Sega consoles.
Yep.
Now, gaming has changed a lot in that 20-year span, but it also hasn't changed a lot in that 20-year span.
But technology has changed completely.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And that's kind of what I want to touch base on this as well, not just gaming, because gaming is a big part of technology. It really is. But
sure.
What's going to change in 20 years for us with technology, and how are we going to deal with it? Because, dude, 20 years ago, we had a really crappy computer. We did. It was awesome, though. And
I had a 486 DX2 with the turbo button. Yeah.
Awesome. But you think about it, no one was doing podcasting back then. No one was, doing all these crazy things. Like, no one could think that we're talking to each other on the internet or anything like that, or playing.
No, the ability to face chat over a computer screen was still science fiction.
It's just crazy. So, Chris, what do you think? 20 years.
We're giving Chris a long time to think about this. What do you got, buddy?
I think a lot of what's going on right now, even with Google Glass and all that, is they're trying to bring the whole heads-up display thing out of the video games and into your real everyday life. And so they're trying to, just kind of make it to where you're not having to stare at a screen all day long. And, they're doing it with the glasses, and they've got some companies trying to do the windshield thing for cars.
Yeah.
So that you've got the GPS deal going on, and the arrows telling you where to go and all that cool stuff.
Chris, are you a fan of William Gibson at all?
I haven't heard of him.
Oh, okay. He's an author that is often he is often credited with inventing concepts like a massive user internet that's public. He's coined phrases like cyberspace and things like that.
Okay.
In his old stuff was very, very cyberpunk books, but his more modern stuff ties very, very close to the near future. And he had a book that came out, it's probably 12 or 13 years ago. Maybe it wasn't that long. It was probably like 8 or 9 years ago, now that I'm thinking about it, where the main character is given a headset, and that headset is viewing GPS points, and there are overlays that are happening inside of the glass of this thing to give you a virtual tour of the reality where you were. The main character goes to the bar where River Phoenix overdosed and died, and there's an overlay of River Phoenix lying there on the ground dead with paramedics and things showing all that stuff. And that's when you talk about the Google Glass becoming a heads-up display and giving you these GPS stamped kind of tags, that's what it makes me think of, and it's kind of awesome, right? Like being able to look at a store and say, inventory, and see what's inside of that store before I even need to go inside. How cool is that, right? Or anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Or like,
totally hijacking.
like you're already, you're fine. Now, like if for instance, you're already in the store and you pick something up. Hey, is this thing cheaper somewhere else? And it pulls up all the different price comparisons. That'd be something pretty cool too.
It's funny. I just got a text from my buddy Wyatt, and he asked, "Have you guys talked about wearable tech, such as Android Wear, or, watches and Google Glass and everything like that?" And yes, we have, Wyatt. I'm going to answer that. And we're kind of talking about it right now in some ways too.
And that's another thing that's going around too with the watches that are coming out now, like the giant Dick Tracy screen watches.
I saw something so cool, and I guess I could have talked about this on a Tech Corner as well, and I am, but I don't have a link or anything like that. But it was a smart gun, and basically in order it's a biometric gun kind of, but without the biometric part. It's if you wear this watch device, you can shoot the gun. But if the perp gets your gun away from you and tries to blast you with it, they can't shoot you because they're not wearing that watch that's only for you.
Yeah, Errol actually turns around and shoots them in the face.
Oh man, that would be funny.
I don't know about that, but effectively they have a 2-pound club at that point.
But I mean, we're gonna see a lot of this the biometric tech, I believe, in the future, and also the wearable tech is, I think it's early right now, but I think that's going to be a big improvement 20 years from now. I kind of
to glom onto what Chris was talking about. I drive a 2010 Prius, right?
Right.
And as long as I have my key fob on me, I have access to the inside of the car.
Mm-hmm.
I can lock the door by walking away from the car. I can push button start the car. I could do all this stuff as long as I've got the key fob on me. Right. And in the future, that could just be my cell phone. That's like 2 or 3 years.
That could be your cell phone. It could be, this is scary to think about, an implant.
An implant?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. and that to me is amazing. And going back to the wearable tech, I was at I bought this tablet. Did I tell you guys about this tablet I bought?
No, you didn't.
It's a
Go ahead.
Samsung.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's a Galaxy 4. Anyway, one of the things that the salesman was telling me about was these watches that you were talking about just a few seconds ago.
Yeah.
And one of the watches that he showed me had a camera built into it for taking video or pictures.
Yeah, you should have been there a few podcasts ago. We talked about this, Greg. God.
Oh, I probably was, yeah. But yeah, I mean that's just so cool. And back to Chris's idea of the Google Glass thing. I was sitting there eating a taco earlier today in honor of Cinco de Mayo a few days ago.
Oh yeah.
And
I did that 2 days in a row.
How many calories are in this thing, or in just half of this thing? Imagine having that answer just as you're just talking it out loud or thinking it. Yeah,
all of the calories.
It is all of the.
I mean,
calories.
there's even rumors of well, not rumors, actual development of contact lenses that are supposed to give you like their digital contact lenses that are kind of like Google Glass in some ways. They're working on that. I don't see how it's going to happen unless it's pulling absolute energy from your body, which it could do if it works right.
Energy. Sure.
I bring this up every time we talk about this on the podcast. I just want the Scouter from Dragon Ball Z. I want to read people's power levels.
Oh man. But I mean, with wearable with wearable tech, I really think that's going to be the future. And right now, it may not be catching on, but I think eventually everybody will be wearing it. It could be in the 10-year marker. It could be in the next 5 years. It could be 20 years from now. It's still taking a while to jumpstart, but I think it's a big possibility. And what you're talking about, seeing what that's worth or that would be perfect. It would help out a lot for shopping or anything really.
Well, at the risk of sounding like a person who has no sensitivity to other people and other cultures, Japanese girls for the last 25 years have been wearing all sorts of technological stuff on their bodies that sometimes do things and sometimes don't do a damn thing except for look like techno cool stuff. And animes have represented that to us here in America for a very long time now. And it's nice to see that those kinds of features are a possibility. Because frankly, I always thought it was cool looking, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's back when Star Trek started coming out, not the original, like Next Generation, everything. They had tablets on that show. And
oh yeah.
And you didn't even know what a tablet was. You're like, oh man, that's kind of cool. They're just walking around poking buttons and everything.
Right.
Dude, it came out. Tablet came out in our lifetime. And we're like, holy hell.
Did I tell you about this tablet I picked up?
No, you haven't. Go ahead. I think we have amnesia or something.
I think I'm just a nutbag. Sorry, guys.
So, I mean, other than all that, I mean, do you guys agree that wearable tech is going to be, a possibility in the next 20 years is a big thing for everybody? Because there's a lot of naysayers with it, a lot of them.
I'm waiting for the Pit Boy from Fallout.
Hell yeah!
Oh man, that'd be so awesome.
That's the accessory most people neglect is the Geiger counter.
Well, we may need it in the next 20 years.
Oh man,
dude, next 5 years
now.
Yeah.
Japan needs it like last year.
Yeah, right, exactly. That was culturally insensitive, Chris.
Oh, I think enough time's passed.
Oh,
I think
they're over it.
Too soon.
Oh man.
Oh
no,
man.
That's great. So, yeah, man. 20 years from now, what are you doing what is going to be your method of conveyance in your city? Are you thinking that we're going to be more public transportation, or are we still going to be privatized rides? Do you think we'll finally get to the point where air transportation is a possibility?
Air is never going to be a transportation unless we can figure out force fields, because people would crash into buildings nonstop.
Yeah, that's true.
I think we're going to have the tubes going throughout the whole city like in Futurama.
Oh, that would be sweet. Oh, man. And there's going to be suicide booths and, you name it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so what about how we eat? Where are we going to get food 20 years from now?
Well, did you guys hear about 3D printed food? That's been
Yes.
They're doing food now?
Yeah. Well, it's all soy now. But soy could be anything.
Right. But I mean, it's unique. I don't think it's gonna, catch on right now. But what if we could? I don't think. I think food's gonna be food, no matter what. We're gonna grow it. We're gonna cook it. I don't think we're gonna
Well,
get that Star Trek experience where, we order this, a spaghetti dish. I don't think it's gonna be instantly there,
not in 20
generated
years.
from nothing.
No.
I think something that is a lot more likely, and something that I've always thought was really freaking cool every time I watch this damn movie. Do you guys remember the scene in Back to the Future 2 where he's in the future and they get like a little like pouch of like a pizza or something, and it's like 2 inches wide. They stick it in the microwave for like 2 seconds, and it's like a giant steaming pizza.
Yes,
I could see that.
Yeah, I
maybe.
think that would be a lot more realistic, and I can't wait for that to happen. I want it.
Well, and maybe it'll be 3D printed in the freezer when you take it out, put it in the thing. Just add.
I don't want
water
a
or
soy
whatever.
pizza though. I want real pizza.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so you did bring up the 3D printer thing, which I think is interesting because it was something that I didn't even think was possible until it was already available.
And they freaking did it. It's crazy.
And then they freaking did it. That's exactly right.
Now they're building houses and shit with it.
Houses? Check the last podcast we talked about that. Houses? Come on, this is nuts, man.
Do you think it will be not too far in the distant future before we're actually fabricating things in our homes for us every day?
It's a huge possibility, and that's going to take a gigantic nosedive on the market because we're going to be able to create whatever the hell we want,
Yeah.
So
and when you go shopping, you just buy like a CAD program of like the item you want. Like, oh, I really love this dish set. How much for that?
I could see that actually happening. That's a big possibility, unless you wanted some unique material, other than plastic right now. But I mean, it's a huge possibility, and that's insane.
It's possible, but I think that the copyright holders are gonna put a really big damper on that because they're not gonna want people just printing out all their shit for free.
I'll do it. Sure. I don't give a fuck.
You're gonna start seeing, awesome. You see in the movie theaters, like you wouldn't download a car. Like hell yeah, I would.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Start seeing you wouldn't 3D print a house.
Do you guys think in 20 years, do you think that the internet that we use will still be a subscriber based thing, or do you think it'll be more like the utilities are in your house now, like water, electric, that sort of thing? It's just
I want to believe
package.
It's gonna be just a gigantic they've talked about this. I don't know who's talked about it, but they did. That they
is this the same day that gave Wi-Fi to all of Boston?
Maybe. I want to think that the whole United States or even the whole world will receive I wouldn't say free internet, maybe there'll be a tax or something, but possibility of just unlimited internet for our use daily life, because it seems like more and more we all depend on it no matter what, to stay connected, to record podcasts, to play video games, to do pretty much anything. And I know we depend on it a little too much, but it's become a part of us.
I really do.
Yeah, but it's become a part of us, and I wouldn't say that it's ruined me, but it's also benefited me a lot too,
I know I'd be about 40 or 50 pounds lighter if I didn't have the internet.
Right. This is a fact.
Wendy's.
I love
I think as long as it's only Comcast or whoever who is completely running the show on the internet in this country, at least, that's never going to happen.
I think it will be.
There needs to be, like in South Korea, you've got multiple people running the internet, and that's why it's so dirt cheap for everybody and so fast, and because they've got competition. So unless that happens here, I
think the government's going to kill the competition. I think they're going to be the ones running the show for that 20 years from now. It's going to take a while, but I really think they're going to be the ones that say, "Hey, no, this is all going to happen. That's it." And people may not like it, but it's going to happen, I think.
So, taking the spiritual and controversial connotations out of the picture here, and we're dealing with a strictly empirical question. Stem cell research has given us the ability currently to clone various portions of our bodies in order to facilitate loss or damage or even cancer at this point, right?
Right. Yep.
Will it be available to everyone in 20 years, so long as theology doesn't get in the way.
I hope so. I really do.
It won't. Theology will always get in the way,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah.
It won't happen.
Okay.
Guaranteed.
I think if theology doesn't get in the way, and I'm not an advocate for getting rid of theology either. I'm neither here nor there on that topic, but I do think that rationality will prevail eventually. I just don't know if it'll be in 20 years.
20 years is a pretty short amount of time. I think it's going to be a lot longer than that. Maybe 40 years at that. Maybe. We'll see.
Do you think that
we even live
that
that long?
Scientists will find a cure for the reasonable numbers of cancers that we see every day in the next 20 years?
Yes. Will they give it to us? Maybe not.
There's no money in a cure.
There
really isn't. So.
I have a friend who was visiting in town last week. Actually, she's has her doctorate in immunology. Actually, and she did a study at WashU, which is one of the. It's a really great, really good scientific school here in St. Louis. And what she had done is she had taken, and I'm not exactly sure how this works. I'm not a scientist, but she had taken cancerous liver cells from one rat, put it into another rat, harvested the antibodies that rejected that particular portion of cancerous cells, injected them into the first rat with the cancer, and cured that cancer with the antibodies.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Pretty freaking amazing. And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah. I think 20 years from now we will have it, but we're still going to be having the issue with people wanting to not, profit off of it. And, if you have to have this amount of money to get this done,
if they profit off of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's life or death. Take my money, but just have reasonable expectations. It should be a graduated program.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm making $30 a day, then if I'm giving up $5 for that, then that should be adequate. And the guy that's making 30 million, maybe he could afford a little bit more.
Yeah.
Am I being controversial?
No, not at all. You're saying what we're all thinking. So, let's go ahead and wrap it up. We've spent a long time, and I know we got all funny at the very beginning of this, but this ended in a really good, serious conversation.
I was absolutely serious about the RPG thing. I'm really into that.
I'm not saying it wasn't a bad idea. It was just a funnier portion of this.
I like it. I want it. That's my entertainment of the future.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Build it.
Up next is the end of the show, so stay tuned. All right, well, this is the portion when we're going to kind of let everybody know that we're going to be playing a video game, maybe? Messing with stuff? Watching hockey, maybe?
Yeah, I'll probably be doing that. Actually, earlier today, I checked out, there's this game called Entropy that is an early release Steam game. It looks like kind of a cross between Elite or X. What's that MMO spaceship game that everybody plays? It's been around forever. It's NCC.
Eve?
Yeah, Eve Online.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like it's kind of a hybrid between those two. It's like it took all of the really brainy part of it out of it and left the fun stuff. So I think I might try that this weekend.
Okay.
Thank God, because I wanted to play Eve, but all the graphing and numbers and shit you got to do.
It. I don't want to be smart. I want to have fun. I'm smart during the day. It's not fun to be smart at night.
Did you hear they're coming out with another Eve game called Dust? Or no, it's not Dust, but since Dust, what was Dust? Dust 9 something? 9?
I don't
know. Dust 542 or
542, whatever it was. Since that's failed on PS3 and they had no reason to not, or I don't know why they didn't want to port it over to PS4, but it failed
because nobody liked it.
No one liked it. It was crap.
It was free to play too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was free to play, but it was free to play crap because it was definitely it was kind of dipping into your category to the pay to win scenario, like the heavy pay to win scenario, and it was kind of unfair. But they're planning on making a PC game that's Dust whatever 2 technically, but it's called something else.
Indonesian Tale? Or no?
I don't know what it is.
Different game.
But no, you'll have to let us know how that other game is like. What you think of it.
Check it out. I might duck my head back into Shadowrun Online a little bit and see how that's going. And then, of course, there's going to be a couple more games with the Minnesota Wild where I'm hoping that they'll actually find a way to beat Chicago, but I don't have high hopes.
Yeah. Well, let us know how that turns out in your misery.
I'll send you an email.
Oh, there we go. Email. Yeah. I still use email.
I send passenger.
Chris,
pigeons.
what do you plan on doing?
I'm probably going to be playing some more Persona 4.
Persona 4.
And trying to play Dark Souls 2. I'm stuck right now. It's hard. It's a hard game.
I'm not playing it.
Wait till you get to some bosses in Persona 4. You're going to be like, oh my god, this is annoying. And then you'll figure out how to do things correctly. And you'll be like, oh my god, I'm so stupid. But I'm going to probably be playing that. But I'm mostly going to be working. Oh, actually, I'm going to be. I don't know. It's Mother's Day. I'm going to be doing something with my wife and my kid.
Yeah.
Damn, I got to go shopping.
Sunday.
But I'm probably going to be grilling this weekend. I just bought me a new grill, and I'm really excited. I made steaks tonight, and oh my god, it was awesome. I never do this, but I bought a propane grill, and I usually do charcoal. Propane accessories.
After you talk so much shit to me for having a gas grill, you went and got one.
Dude, you know what? Living in Arkansas with the disaster and everything, I want to be able to just turn on, like if my house isn't destroyed by a damn tornado or anything, I want, and the power's cut or something, at least I'll have kind of a stove of gas, so it's not what I really wanted, but it's kind of what we need right now, so. But I'm going to be...
It's not the grill you deserve, but the one that you need.
It's not the grill you deserve, it's the one that's convenient.
So I'm going to probably be doing that in Persona 4, but I'm also going to be working on a new project, and Chris is involved with this, and a lot of people are involved with this. Chris, do you want to spill the beans?
Yes.
Bean spilling.
It's time. I'm opening the can and spilling them all over the place, making a big mess.
Oh, man.
So, that big announcement that we were talking about earlier, it involves our podcast. TES is coming to an end.
No!
No.
Hey, dude.
Yep.
Oh,
so
man.
our next episode, 42, is going to be the last one for this show. And we are going to be doing a new podcast after that.
And what's the reasoning behind this, Chris? In our own crazy world.
We think that we've been kind of limiting ourselves with the format of this show, with particularly the Tech Corner stuff. We after Alan passed away, we kind of kept trying to keep it going, but we're not nearly as intelligent as he was. So
that's the
failing
truth
in that regard, and just the whole. In general, the whole show, we feel like we've been kind of lacking, and we want to branch out a little bit more and embrace more of the nerd culture with, besides video games, we want to include, board games and movies and what have you.
This show is a pure, the new podcast. We're not revealing the name just yet. We're not revealing that to our final episode, but I'll give you a hint. L50P. And I've hinted that on Facebook, but nerd culture in general, just nerd culture. We're going to be talking about video games. We will be continuing on with Alan's Tech Corner within the show. It'll be just whenever the information's out there that we know we can talk about correctly.
When we have something that's worth talking about.
Right. Not just fillers, or even though this episode had a really good filler, and I thank you, Greg, for being a part of it, because I think you brought a lot more than Chris and I would have. But no offense, Chris.
Talk.
No. But we are planning on getting this all rolled out before E3. So we're going to be not our first episode, but we're going to be trying to get everything set up correctly before E3, so we can do an E3 episode of the new podcast. And we will give you all the information you need in the next episode. I'll let you know the links you need to go to, the new Facebook, the new YouTube, the new website. So you guys, I really thank you all for listening. And it's not the end of Chris and Mike. It's not the end of Technical or Syndicate for the most part, but it's the end of what we've been doing for the past 2 years, but we're moving on to something bigger and better and, more amazing, something we're more comfortable with, I guess. So
everybody's doing reboots nowadays.
Reboots.
It's our turn.
Yep. It's our turn.
Nice. So you guys are the Andrew Garfield of the future. So, can I bounce in here? I really tried to let you guys have the space to talk about all this stuff, but I do want to thank you guys for inviting me on.
Yeah.
And especially this close to the end, it's a real privilege for me, for sure. And your cast has been something that I've enjoyed many hours while driving around this fair town and looking at buildings that have been hit by tornadoes and whatnot. It's nice to have a friendly voice to listen to. You guys have been more than informational and entertaining. And I speak for my entire podcast when I say we really look up to you guys, and we look at you guys as kind of a partnership with us.
Yep.
And we would volunteer to help in any way we can to help your new endeavor get off the ground.
And I will be recruiting you guys like crazy. And
cool.
And it's funny how this all started with First World Podcast and Technical Earth Syndicate. It was Heath on the Wii U, believe it or not. So that's we were chatting on Miiverse. So, but make sure you guys check out First World Podcast. It's one of the better podcasts actually on the internet about gaming. I listen to it when I have a chance, but I've been listening to it more and more. But
yep.
I've listened to every episode for the past year at least, but it's been great going back and forth with you guys. So thank you.
Oh, dude, the honor is ours. We can't say enough good stuff about you. I'd like to give a shout out. Are you ready?
Yep.
Dan.
Holy
Madison.
shit.
You guys all jealous. Look at what I get to do. I'm king shit right now.
you know, everyone's probably going to be on the last episode for the farewell.
That's right. I get to be there before they did.
Yep. You were here before.
Someone a long time ago.
He was on a video.
Yeah, on that one, that Google one we did.
Yeah, the Google Hangout episode.
Yeah.
When he didn't have a headset or a microphone, he was just talking into his computer.
Yeah. We were drinking beers, getting drunk. It was pretty awesome.
You guys were so fun. It was really cool, actually. I watched it and enjoyed the hell out of it. That's when I realized you guys are way cooler than us.
So, I want to do a shout out for this podcast called God, what is their name? Technical Earth Syndicate.
Scott Johnson.
Oh, crap! I did a shout out for myself. First World Podcast, and all of you guys. It's been awesome. I started out listening to you and Heath and Dan talk, and then the lovely Madison joined, and it was
Lovely. She's the goddamn queen.
She's the queen.
You best step, man. She will destroy your world.
Oh my
or make it a
God.
beautiful place.
She's
It's
so
all up to
nice
her.
to me. I didn't
She
think
decides.
she would kill me.
She won't kill you. She'll just turn you into like some sort of weird servant.
Yes.
So anyway.
I also want to do a shout out for my mom.
Hell yeah, my mom.
My
too.
mom. No, I want to do a shout out for my wife, and also my mom. But my wife, she's put up with this show for the past 2 years, and me talking about it obsessively, and just like, oh man, I love this episode, even though she doesn't listen to the show because she doesn't want to hear me talk about bullshit for 2 hours or 30 minutes or an hour, because she already has to put up with that anyway. So.
She sounds very practical. How about I give a shout out to Chris's wife since he's not speaking up for her?
I gave her a shout out a couple episodes ago.
That's all she gets.
Well,
She still has to listen to it. She doesn't listen to the show.
My
For the
girlfriend
same
actually
reasons. I talk
listens.
about this shit all the time, and she tunes it out, so she doesn't want to
Jen-
listen to it.
Jen actually listens to my shows. It's really odd because I'm such a dumbass. So hi, Jen.
Must be nice having a wife who supports your show.
Dude, she
Oh.
supports me in every way you could possibly. She's amazing. Jen is so cool. You guys, I'm sure your wives are great, but Jen is amazing. Just saying.
I'm gonna go ahead and shout out Mike Ross. It sucks that he's got to be deployed and have such a minimal influence on what's going on right now. But
Yeah.
But he'll be
as
in
soon
the
as
new
he gets
thing,
back,
right?
he's gonna be
Yeah,
in
he'll
full
probably be in
personal.
and out of the new thing. He's gonna be I can't really talk about where he's going to be at, but after he gets back from deployment, he's going to be getting orders. So we'll figure out something for Mike Ross. We love you, buddy. So you can find us on Twitter as Tech ES Podcast, although that's going to be changing soon to the new podcast. But you can still probably tweet us there. I'll check it. Also Facebook, just type in Technical Earth Syndicate, and that's going to be changing too. The website that you can find Technical Earth Syndicate for the rest of how long we have it up there, which is going to be a very long time, is emeraldcoastproductions.com /TS. iTunes is going to have it on there. Stitcher Radio is going to have it on there, and YouTube is going to have all our episodes on there, even if they get taken offline. So we'll see. And if you want to email me and you want a backup of the show, I'll send you a thumb drive full of these episodes, all of them. So,
yep.
There you go.
Also, Stitcher Radio.
Stitcher Radio. I already said Stitcher Radio.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Thank you so much, Greg, for doing the show with us. This is a very awkward exit outro to the show, I guess.
Just stop talking. That are four lights.
No, let's man. No. Thank you for being a part of this, man. Really, thank you.
The pleasure.
And we'll see you probably next podcast. We'll hear you. Something.
Let's do it.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you next time.
Peace. It's dangerous to go alone. Take an episode of Technical Earth Syndicate. Mike. I'm Michael Buffington. Chris. I'm Chris Stewart. Guest. It's dangerous to go alone. Take an episode of the Technical Earth Syndicate.
I'm
Is that close?
Michael Buffington.
I'm Chris Stewart.
Let's try that again, eh? Dude, I used to have this Nokia like gaming phone that you actually turned it sideways and put it to your head. And so it was like you were talking into the side of a taco.